for the highest good.
Hello, recording.
Hello,
Hello.
I love the
everybody.
little voice that tells us that it started.
Yeah, so that we're all aware.
So official.
Yeah,
This is our first recording.
Yes.
this is
Hello,
tea
world.
time.
It is.
We're in our safe space where we can all be authentic, be ourselves, come up with whatever ideas we have. I mean, we could talk about what is our favorite kind of peanut butter. We could talk about the quantum field.
So anything and everything, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Kind of.
mean, we've been
Kind of
talking
basic
about good and
world.
evil, the chakras, all kinds of things.
Hmm. Alrighty.
And we've been talking about everyone having their own point of view,
Perception.
perception, and how it's helpful to be able to transform from your own point of view to somebody else's point of view.
And have an acceptance of that.
Yeah.
How it differs.
Neuroplasticity also a bit, you know.
Yeah, I think neuroplasticity helps.
There is so much magic in receiving the perceptions of others. And it's not just about giving. We get to just like receive and enjoy and give also.
Yeah. I do find like when someone has a perception of something, even if I don't agree with it, I do find that it offers me something that contributes to my own perceptions and, you know, my own highest good, my own path. And that's really cool.
Yeah, there are infinite possibilities for what to even focus on when someone is sharing their perception.
Yeah.
For a moment while Lune was speaking, like all I could do was tune into the vibration of the sound of what she's saying. And then like my inner voice was like, well, now I really have not had like a concept of what she said, but I've enjoyed like the sound of it. Like, and you know, that's the mystery of being a human expressing something, is that you never really know like where someone is at inside their own head while they're listening to you. Like,
that's true.
You don't know.
It's true. Yeah, we interpret it in so many different ways. Wow.
Yeah.
People can always surprise you, you know, they can surprise you with their ideas. And then then you're less in your self-absorbed and in your own kind of world. So I think many perceptions are the more perceptions we have, the richer we will get, maybe, you know.
I tend to make assumptions of what people have in their minds.
Because you don't always know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I wonder what's going on in there, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Mostly that's not such a great thing, you know, to
right. Depends on your
depends
life.
on your assumption, of course, but
yeah.
Comes back to the perception.
You can have, of course, you can assume something very good, and then it's less good than you thought it was.
Yeah, I think it depends on your life view. You know, maybe you're the sort of person that is going to look at someone and assume they think I'm an asshole. They don't like me.
A lot of that is unconscious too, which is like
yes,
that's crazy.
Do you want to hear the new discovery I had about assumptions though, that just happened yesterday? So I've recently been aware of like just how many assumptions I do have as well, and I had this new thought that I could relate the assumption to be a reminder to ask a question. Because like if I'm assuming that like Michael's enjoying what I'm talking about, like that could be an assumption, and then I could use that to like formulate a question and then be like, do you enjoy what I'm talking about? And like actually find out what the truth is. Instead of like in the past I would just kind of like suppress the assumption or just be like, oh, I don't know that, and just kind of like turn it off. But then I was like, wait, actually become something. And, you know, I think it's cool to think of questions to ask so that you actually can formulate a story that is like true to the other person too.
Yeah, it's like opening up like a curiosity to find the greater truth between you and this other person.
Mm-hmm.
I do find like when I was younger, I had a lot of social anxiety. So with that, I always assumed how people were perceiving me. And I know a lot of times that they really weren't perceiving me in such a negative light, but it was like I was kind of projecting that over them. Like, you must be thinking this way about me. But it's like if I really asked them, like, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of what I'm doing right now? It probably was different than what I was assuming.
Yes.
And then it takes some of the distress away to be like, they're going to think what they think, but I don't have to project that over them or over myself. I can kind of,
The same exact thing was happening to me as well. I noticed it when I was in the gym, when I was like, why am I receiving all this information about all these people thinking horrible thoughts about me when they probably don't even see me? I probably walk by and they're not even looking at me, but my awareness was aware of this like negativity that like wasn't truly there. And then I said to myself, if I'm going to assume something, it might as well be good. And I started to like look at the people and be like, that person wants me to have a great workout today, and that person like, so I was like consciously assuming things because it did help me to have better experiences.
It does feel like when you have like the negative projections of yourself, other people, like what they think of you, what you think of them, sometimes it does feel like you're almost creating that when it didn't have to be there.
Yeah.
Like for you, you're choosing the more like positive, productive way of viewing it so that you're not distressed versus creating all these stories in a negative way that like cause you distress. It's like choosing.
And I was just keeping myself in the same comfortable vibration I was used to, like shame and fear and the anxiety. It's almost like the story feeds whatever vibration you're most drawn to based on your past experiences.
With where you're at, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, have you ever seen the meme where they show a man and a woman and the woman says, he's probably thinking about other women. and then the guy is like, so if you put a slice of bread on the ground and somebody else put a slice of bread on the ground in China, would the world be one big sandwich?
Oh my god. Oh, that's so true though.
Yeah. So if if
somebody told me that when she goes for a walk with her friends, that they although they do the same walk, they have total different experiences from it. So it's so and then you think but we're doing it together, but so that's I found that interesting, that it's so
yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't know what other people's perceptions are, so you might as well assume they're positive.
And create more positive ones.
Yeah. then the vibration is higher and you manifest positive things.
Exactly. Exactly.
A bit of the law of attraction.
Yeah, law of attraction. Yeah. Yeah, back when I had, from my issues and that, having lost my job, and I was working on getting back into medical practice. I had already heard about the law of attraction and The Secret and all that stuff. And so I thought, all right, I imagine I'm going to get rejected by everyone I apply to, but I might as well, it's just as legitimate to imagine getting hired. there's just as much likelihood that I'm going to get hired as not. So might as well assume that I'm going to get hired. And I
Um,
did. I got hired.
That's good.
there you go.
Yeah.
But it is true though, like even if you didn't get it, it's almost like the having the positive mindset though contributes more to your life than having the negative one.
Yes.
The
Well, yeah,
negative one makes you feel like and then
I
you're
felt a lot better while I was waiting.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
you dissolve the tension for yourself.
Yeah.
A common struggle I've noticed is that, like, I would, in the beginning of working with the law of attraction, I would not want to assume things because I wouldn't want to get disappointed, or I wouldn't want to put all that energy into believing I would get hired to like not. But like phrases like rejection is protection, or like
Mhm.
even when you don't, like if you don't receive what it is you've been focusing on, like it's just time is still going on and like moments are still happening. You're just getting closer and closer. Like no matter what
Yeah.
happens to you, even if it's the opposite of your vision or different than what you want, like it's just what you're moving through on your way to the destination you're focused on. Like law of attraction has taught me commitment in a way that nothing else on earth has, like having a vision and believing it and staying committed to it regardless of what is happening or has happened.
I love that view. I really do. That's how I feel too. Mhm.
Yeah, I would love to manifest the Institute, and I have a pretty specific vision of what I want it to look like. But kind of have to be open. It may not end up being exactly
No, but that may be better. It may become better
it.
than what you imagined because of
Yes.
that. Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. It's like leaving it open to that opportunity instead of having the fixed vision. Because oftentimes the fixed vision is not the best one. It's just the one
Right.
we have right now.
What
Yeah.
is your current vision of the Institute?
A whole lot of what we are doing right here, right now.
So then it's already begun.
Yes, it has. Yeah,
One
it
of
be
your videos, you said that many people have spiritual needs that aren't met, and they experience a lot of pain, but then it's also a spiritual pain. Uh,
wow. Which video was that?
You're like, oh, I said that?
Yeah,
Wow.
right. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Well, I know that there've got to be many like us sitting alone and having a desire for what we are doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
well,
Just being and expressing.
Mhm.
the past couple of years, I've been also thinking that loneliness is a very important subject with people that it's increasingly people get increasingly lonely, although they get increasingly more connected, and it's it appears that they are connected, but
Yeah, sort of one-way connections. I mean, right here, this is two-way or, multi-way. We're connected, Um, well, especially if we had a retreat and got together. Yeah. But I mean, what really prompted me to quit procrastinating and actually schedule the first meeting was a YouTuber said, loneliness is something so many of us have in common. Isn't that ironic? Yeah.
It is.
So I'm like, oh, all right, I'll go ahead and announce it and set it up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I
because
think
you can be with a bunch of people, but then still feel lonely. And although you have a lot of people around you, that sometimes, it's maybe also it's something inside the mind. I think when they say when you find happiness within yourself, then it's more profound than some external things that give you joy or
Yeah.
Mm.
It seems like happiness in myself allows me to be more authentic because I'm more
Mhm.
comfortable, and then being authentic, that's good.
It's like
You can connect to people.
yes, it's like
Yeah.
connecting your inner happiness with outer happiness, like
Yeah.
the inner world with the external world. So like matching it up in that way.
And never giving up on finding other human beings that truly appreciate what you express when you're like enjoying yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for these meetings, like when we did the first one, I almost didn't come because I was like, oh, I'm so scared. Like, what's gonna happen? These people are gonna judge me, or I'm not gonna know enough. But
Oh yeah.
it's like over like accepting what that is and being like, you know what, I'm gonna do it anyway because I don't actually know what's gonna happen, and it could be really good. So it's like giving yourself the chance to you know go after those opportunities instead of holding yourself back all the time.
yeah, I sometimes nip things in the bud, then
Mm-hmm.
and then it doesn't happen. And
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's part of why I think it's good to record this and post it,
Mm-hmm.
because we're just chilling, we're having a good time, and somebody else can watch this video and say, oh yeah, I want to be part of that.
Yeah.
that would be great.
And maybe even just experiencing like watching people talk in this way, not only it'll make them feel less alone in that moment, and then also like you said, maybe it will inspire them to join us and actually be a
Yes.
part of it instead of only like watching things, because I feel like a lot of my life I've spent my time observing other people interacting rather than being the one interacting. So it's like that shift into also interacting, I feel like creates a lot of inner happiness and like cohesiveness within us, you know?
I'm so grateful
Yeah.
you decided to show up that one day. And now you get to show up so much more.
I know. It's really beautiful. I have noticed a lot of the choices where you're like, ah, and then you do it and it's positive and it builds into something even more positive. Like taking a chance on things, it's really important, even if it's scary,
Yeah.
regardless of how it turns out. Because it'll lead you to something good either way, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why I started this channel, to open discussions and make
Mm-hmm.
contact with people. That's why it doesn't necessarily matter to me whether I have a ton of subscribers or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is definitely something like I feel like I've had to kind of accept too, is like I have a certain number of subscribers, but when it comes down to it, it doesn't necessarily matter like how many I have number wise. It's like, but I'm still
Yeah.
reaching people and it'll still grow
Yeah.
the way it's supposed to. And
Yeah.
if I'm obsessing over the numbers, then it kind of just causes me to stress and it repels like what I'm trying to do. So I'd rather just have positive mindset and put out like what I feel is right and authentic, and then what connects with that will come. It's like you don't really have to force that. And you shouldn't, because it's just not gonna work very well.
Yeah. Forcing things.
Well, I've been trying to enlarge my comfort zone a little, like
Mm-hmm.
be more comfortable in situation where maybe in the past I wouldn't be that comfortable. Not to say that I invite things that I don't like or something, but it's to get these new experiences to you know.
Yeah, I love that. Love that.
And it went
Yeah.
silent.
Well, that's how it goes. You were talking about how you can be in a crowd and feel lonely.
Mhm.
I think my prime example of that is like a party,
Yeah,
like a,
going alone to a party
yeah,
and thinking,
going
what am I
alone.
doing
Yeah.
here? Well, well, so,
Like I got invited to a wedding and the other people that I knew didn't come. So it was
Oh,
just, it was just me.
that's always a weird feeling.
Um,
So it's
uh,
like,
who are these people? What do I say? I don't know
yeah,
what to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
I traveled all over for a year alone, and I found
Ooh.
more connections than I would have if I would have been with people. Um,
Mm.
I mean, I think if I was clear with people, we're gonna go connect with a bunch of people, we're gonna talk to everybody, then it would happen. But I noticed when I was alone, I could go wherever I wanted to go, talk to whoever I wanted to, and I made so many connections.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Um, Ari did something that I wouldn't have the guts to do. Maybe I would these days. I don't know. But you went up to a random house on
Oh,
Thanksgiving, knocked on the door,
oh
and
gosh.
and had Thanksgiving dinner with them.
But you can't tell, I mean, you
What?
can tell it like that because you just did, but the detail of it is that I had a vision of it first.
Okay.
Oh,
So
so
it
you
came to
okay.
me and I saw it in my mind. And maybe it was my desire to connect with people and have like a good memory on Thanksgiving. Maybe that's what created the vision. But I heard myself like in my mind reading one of these poems that I've written, and I saw this big group of people, and I was in a house, and um, I have a belief that not everything in my inner world is like out of this world. Like I do believe that I can see things in my inner world before they become my physical reality, and I believe that I can like match the inner world to the outer world. So
Yeah.
I saw that vision and I believed in it, and I was like, I think
Okay.
I didn't have full confidence that it would be exactly as I saw it, but I was like, it's very easy to just go to a house and ask if I can read a poem.
Mm,
Like I got a vision of it, why don't I do it? And
that's
then
so cool.
yeah, I started driving and I didn't know where I was gonna go. I just drove. And then when I saw the house, this one house, I knew, like I had a knowing where I was like, that's the house. Like I read the poem in there. And like the vision was just like inside me so strong. And I was like, oh my gosh. So naturally I drove past it and started looking for other houses. And then I was like, wait, what am I doing? Like,
Go back.
yeah, like I have to go back. This is that house. And I remember almost going into a different house, and I was like, if I go into this house, I'm always gonna wonder what would have happened if I went into the house that I like knew was like the house. So I turned the car around, and that other house didn't seem to matter that much. It was almost like the house I was gonna pick when I knew it was the other one. So I just like went back, and then oh my gosh, the feeling in my body when I was walking into the house, like it was so hard to like actually go. And then I remember this like voice inside of me said, just put your foot forward and just feel the ground underneath you. All you're doing in this moment is walking. You don't have to do anything else. So just focusing on the moment made me like calm down. Um focusing on any thoughts of like, I'm so weird and why am I doing this? Like that would have made me turn around, you know, like I
Yeah.
always want to make good experiences for everybody. I don't want to oppose on someone's like holiday, but I chose to like believe that it would be something cool and like I could trust myself and I could trust my inner vision.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I rang the doorbell and this woman answered and I said, this is going to sound really weird, but I would love to recite a poem for you and whoever else is here, if that's okay with you. And she was like, wow, okay. Like, and she was like, are you prepared for a big crowd? And I in my vision, it seemed like it was like 20 people. So
Wow.
I was like, yeah, actually, like I was kind of excited because I was like, dang, it might actually be exactly what I saw like yesterday in my head. And it literally was. Like I walked in and turned around the corner, like the woman introduced herself to me and then like I gave her my coat and she just announced to everybody, she's like, are you ready? And I was like, yeah. She's like, all right, everybody, this is Ari. And she decided she's gonna say a poem for everybody. And like everybody started to gather and I swear it was so similar to like what I saw. I remember seeing like just it was very similar. And just being in that moment was so like trippy. Like
how did it feel like when you were actually reciting it to them? I wonder. I assume it was like that energetic exchange that you were meant to.
It was that feeling of belonging, like that feeling of home that like I always crave, and I was just in it, and I was like it was so cool. And I wrote this little like introduction about energy and how like I have heard and like have started to believe that you can only perceive that which you are the vibration of. So for all of you to be here and for you to be able to receive this poem, like we share similar vibrations, like we must be resonating for this to even happen. And it was so cool. I remember I read that and then I like closed my journal and I was like, okay, and now for the poem. And someone was like, what? That wasn't the poem? Like that was so good. And then I was like, okay, like I'm in the right place. And one of the coolest things that happened at the end that like really like I already felt like it was meant to be and it was so like perfect that it happened. But this kid, like he was probably like 8 years old or 9 years old. He was so full of energy and so excited. He was like, that was the best poem I've ever heard in my life. And then he had like all these questions for me because he loves writing. So he was like, how did you know that you wanted to become a writer? And I was like, well, do you write? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, you're a writer too. Like you already became a writer. And I got to like encourage him and tell him to just keep doing what he wants to do and to trust himself and just kind of pass down everything that I was experiencing. And that was like the coolest thing. That was the first kid I've ever met that like loved writing that much. And like I got to express what I love and encourage someone else to also do what they love. And yeah, then they asked me if I wanted to have like a plate of food. And I was like, of course. Everything's home cooked.
And you stayed for 2 weeks. No.
No, I didn't. I left at a reasonable time.
Yeah.
People from that that gathering are still connected to me. I think I made some lifelong friends too.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. I truly believe in like deciding what you want and watching your mind and sometimes you see visions of your limiting beliefs and your greatest fears, but other moments you do see what people could maybe label as the highest timeline, the best possibility. Like your mind does serve you and it does want the best for you. As much as it's wanted the worst and seems to be against you, it also can serve you and be like a great tool.
I definitely agree with that. I do feel like people kind of like they look at your mind as such a negative thing, but it really is a tool and you can choose what you use it for.
Right.
And you can trust it in certain ways.
Yeah, I don't agree with like turning it off.
Yeah, no, that's disconnecting a part of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a break sometimes. Like, you don't want to hammer nails all day. Like, a hammer is a valuable tool, just as the mind is. And you don't want to use it all day, but when you do use it, it can really benefit you and create incredible
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes in meditation it can seem that you are turning off your mind, but it's not the same. It's like being aware of the things without all the mental pollution
Mm.
that's sometimes in your mind.
Like cleansing your mind almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see meditation as opening my mind
Mhm.
and getting my day-to-day routine thoughts kind of out of the way so that others can come, higher thoughts
Mm.
from my spirit guides, like the guides that guided you to that house, which was, I said random house. It was not a random house. You were guided there.
Wow.
So I think meditation opens my mind for guidance like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it also helps to have more like a clear intention, you know, to be to have a clear perspective about things.
Yeah, almost like to kind of, I guess, tune into or zone in on what's most important in that moment for you to understand or to focus on, and clear away the stuff that isn't as important or is more like chatter, like other energies that are like kind of around you. It's like coming back to
Mm.
yourself and like what energies you should be or would be best for you to tune into in that moment.
Yeah, it enlarges kind of freedom also. It's
Mm-hmm. And it's like a
Yeah.
coming back to presence, and whatever that serves you in that moment, that presence.
There's so much available to us in every single moment.
There really is.
The mind really is like trying to show us that too. Like, I got a vision of me like standing up and snapping, and I was like, yeah, that's a possibility. Like, I could do that if I wanted to. It's cool to like separate awareness from like the workings of the mind and notice your consciousness outside of what the mind could be directing you to do or what it is showing you, like what's possible through your inner vision.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
yeah. Sometimes you're getting knee-jerk reactions, you know, like some things you are premeditated and are and that's not good. You it can sometimes be a hindrance to uh, to be.
Yeah.
The assumptions.
Yeah. That is something that meditation has helped me with over the years, is taking me out of that knee-jerk
Mm-hmm.
reaction habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I would have been focused on like staying safe and surviving on that Thanksgiving that I described, like I definitely would have got visions of what I can make for myself, like at my own house, and like it would have been a totally different like I don't think I would have received the same vision because like at that time in my life I definitely was like living for the moment and living for the experience and like it's Thanksgiving 2023. I only get one of these. Like, what's the best possible thing I could do? And I can't be like that all the time. It takes like an enormous amount of energy. But I don't know. Sometimes it could be like, what's the best thing I could possibly do? And it's like lay in bed and listen to music. Like sometimes the
That's
best possible
real.
thing to do is eat a sandwich or go to the grocery store. It literally doesn't have to be like a big production, but sometimes it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is important to value the big moments and the little moments fairly
And
equally.
knowing yourself too. Like I know I love reciting poems. So like I'm gonna go do it. But if you know you love eating alone, then you would probably
Eat
pick a
alone.
Thanksgiving when you eat alone. And because of society's stories about Thanksgiving, it might be hard to get there. 'Cause you're like, oh, I really want to eat alone, but everybody says on Thanksgiving you share and you do this. But like, I mean, that's the cool thing about there being so many years is that like what you want one year could be totally different the next year. So you might as well let yourself have the experience that is available to you that you desire the most so that like you don't live in like lack and suffering.
Yeah, and almost like doing things just because you think you have to, or not doing things because you think it's scary or uncomfortable, but like just doing what you feels right in that moment, in that time. And being okay with that, like accepting like, hey, this is actually what I want. And you know, maybe in this view it's not good or the best, but for me it is right now, and that's enough, type of thing.
Yeah. I used to always think, well, if it's Saturday night, I should be going out.
But no, you don't have to.
No.
You don't have to. And
I think that way
sometimes-
too. It came up last night. It was Friday night, and
Sometimes, yes.
I think I got ready for bed at like 7 o'clock last night on like Friday night. And I had that thought come in, like, it's Friday night, I should be going out, but it's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So you don't do it. You go to bed. And then maybe you got like really good rest, and that's because you followed what you wanted to do. And that was the best for you. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the societal expectations of what is like the best way to live is a lot of times not true.
Yeah, and all the status symbols and everything you have to be a normal person. And
yeah, and
it's also a big pressure, you know. It's a big pressure on people.
It is. It's like creating a cookie cutter way of living, like all the time. When as human beings, like we shouldn't be in a cookie cutter direction. We're supposed to be out experiencing and, you know, going through the moments and feeling them as they come and go. Like that's what living is, you know. So I find like when I'm doing something just to do it, like I had a job as a teacher before, and I remember going to work every day. It was like the exact same thing every single day. And it got really repetitive, and I was like, this is really not serving me that much. And so when I finally left and I like started doing things a little differently and like accepting like, oh, maybe I'm not waking up this time, but that's okay because it's good for me. Or maybe I'm not eating right now, but I can eat this time because it feels better for me. Or maybe I'm going to do this instead of this right now because it feels better in this moment, and then I can do that thing later. So it's like choosing what feels the best in that moment for, yeah, overall. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's kind of the evolution that, I mean, I've had a few years ago. The content I was watching was all about self-development and self-improvement, and it was all about how, you know, you gotta get up at 4 a.m. and then take a cold shower, and then, you know, all about the grind and the hustle and bringing in the money, and you know, and that was
It's
not
not for everyone. It's
not for
everyone.
it was not for me. Yeah.
And that's important, acknowledging like maybe that's good for this person, but for me, it's horrible. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do something else.
I take a warm shower, thank you very much.
Yes.
And it feels good.
And trusting that that information that you took in that was not for you will find the people that it is for, and there's no need to like attack it and like criticize the people that are creating it and be like,
Yeah.
how dare you tell me to take a cold shower? I tried it and it sucks. Like, I mean, maybe that energy needs to be expressed and maybe it's funny and it's okay. But I tend to, like, if something doesn't resonate with me or it doesn't work for me, I usually just don't put energy into it and just
Yeah.
You just
let the
it
people
be.
that it's meant for find it. I don't ever want to like inhibit someone from creating what they want to create if I didn't like it.
Yeah, you know, that's interesting because there are times I like watch a video and they're talking about something. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I go to the comment section and someone is like, that's horrible. And then I'm just like,
Yeah.
I feel that energy and I'm like, bro, chill. Like, just let them do their thing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the self-improvement, self-development space, what I do take from that is physical fitness.
Mm.
I mean,
Mhm.
that has helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the self-love aspect too, like caring about yourself and your life experiences enough that you'll put attention and focus into like what you're doing and who you're becoming.
Mm-hmm. I think even with fitness though, like and like fitness journeys and health journeys, a lot of people like think that again, they think you have to do it like a certain way when really everybody's different. Like everybody has a different body and they have different things that
Yes.
they, you know, could focus on that's best for them. So it's like you don't have to work out a whole ton all the time if that doesn't feel like something that would be productive for you or good for you. It's like choosing what feels more right for you instead of assuming like this is how I need to do it.
Yeah, because then you have all these expectations, and when they are not met, then you get disappointed, and you have like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
trying to fit into expectations that really don't align with you. It's like forcing it. That's not good to do that.
When I have goals, and this has worked for fitness goals for me too, I love picturing the outcome, like picturing the moment of like I did it, I accomplished it, like I have that experience that like I maybe don't have right now, but I'm like moving towards it. And then it almost is like the goal has like a life of its own. Because I mean, it does. It's the consciousness of myself in a future time and space. So I just let that energy like communicate with me and kind of like tune into how I feel and what could be like the most favorable path to take with a goal, because there are infinite possibilities, especially with fitness, like how to have like a healthy, toned, vibrant body. Like there's so many different pathways to take. And I believe you might as well take the path that's going to be most enjoyable if you're going to be taking a path. Like if you're going to be working on a goal regardless, you might as well work on it in the way that like you're getting good vibrations from what you're doing on your way there.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, I like how, well, I get to the end of a work day and I'm like, yeah, it's time to work out now. I don't feel like it, but I'm getting a message from my future self. All right, I'll go do it. And then I do it and I feel great.
Yep.
And then I'm like, thanks, past self, for doing that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so true though.
Yeah.
You feel the pull and then once you do it, you're like, I'm so glad I did that. Like
Yeah. And it doesn't even take long. I mean, I get the first 2 or 3 minutes of working on it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is good.
yeah, it's like trusting that you do know what's best for you in that moment.
Yeah.
Like even if you have some resistance with it, it's like
Mhm.
maybe I'm viewing this like I want to be lazy instead, but is that going to feel the best for me today and in this moment? Probably not. So maybe do the thing that's going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Overall.
And then there are some times where it's like, no, today I really don't feel like working out.
Mm-hmm.
What I need is a meal and, just some chill time. And so I do that. And that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I think this was the right decision.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like I think part of it too, like listening to your body, like what does it need and want in that moment versus the expectations of what you think it should need or want in that moment.
Yeah.
That
Right.
trust.
And as the future self, I'll bring my awareness to those past versions that made all those choices and celebrate and send love and gratitude, like regardless of what I did, because I know in the long term it's going to benefit me from sending that unconditional love and happiness and positivity. Because like even if I did something that didn't benefit my goal, like it did benefit my goal because it gave me awareness of what didn't benefit my goal, so I could act smarter and move faster and go forward. Like there's no way to not go forward towards what you're focusing on.
Yeah. It's like there's no wrong choice necessarily. I think maybe that's what
Right.
people mean by that.
Yeah, like because the wrong
Yeah.
choice shows you what the right choice is, so it was the right choice.
Yes.
It's like a paradox.
I love that.
Like if you never made the wrong choice, you wouldn't know the right choice. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all right.
Yeah, that kind of helps me
Mm.
look back and, like if I'm doing shadow work or whatever and start getting regrets. No, I made the right choice, even though I made all kinds of choices that I would look back on now and say, oh, that was the wrong choice.
Yeah. Or oh, that was
But
horrible. Why did I do that?
what a stupid choice I made, back in 1994. That was a year that I made a lot of what seemed like bad choices.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, here I am, the guy I am today.
Yeah.
We do the best with what we have in the moment.
It's a learning
Exactly.
experience.
It is. This is all learning. We're always learning. Every moment. Yeah. I think that's comforting to know that though. Is that you're always learning whether you make a bad decision or not. And you're always striving to learn in the way you want and feel what feels right.
Knowing that there's someone in the future appreciating you and loving you
Yeah.
for what you did now.
Yeah.
Even if it's just yourself, like that's still a
Yeah.
person.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm. That's like a
Although,
beautiful way to practice self-love though too, is appreciating the person that you were in each moment to get to where you are. I think that is really beautiful. Like cuz sometimes we forget like what we have done that's good and how we've evolved. And we're like, "Oh, I want to be better." But it's like, "Well,
Mm.
look how much better you've become because of what
Sometimes
you've
we are
done
impatient.
already."
We're always hungry for more good
Yeah.
experience, more, and then we forget what we already, and or we are down for things, and then we have forgotten all the good things we had done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to remember that, especially in the difficult times, I
yeah.
feel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I watch a movie about time travel or something, and then it brings up the idea, well, suppose I could go back to 1994 and speak to myself. Would I have changed anything?
Mm.
And at least I've got it to where it's like, no, wouldn't change it.
Mm.
Because there certainly are good things about my life today.
Mm. That maybe you wouldn't have gotten to if you hadn't done things a certain
Right.
way
Yeah.
or been a certain way. Yeah.
And
I mean,
there certainly are experiences that allow me to be more empathetic and to help others better because of
Yes.
everything I've been through.
I was just thinking that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's how we help people sometimes, is by just having gone through the experience and then, being able to talk about it. So people
Yeah.
feel like, hey, yeah, this person went through it too. Feels more comforting. And not only that, but it maybe gives them hope that, despite the fact that they went through that they can still get through it and get to a more positive point in their life too. That they can get there.
All of us have been so many different versions of ourselves, and it's possible to get caught up in, acting like you are this one person, but we're not, and we all know it. Like, we all do so many different things that bring so many different definitions to ourselves.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's strange because I do connect with like my past self sometimes, and I like I visualize like that person that I was, or sometimes I even like experience like a past echo of who I was, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. But it's like it feels weird, but it feels like it was productive to something, even if I don't quite know what or why. I think accepting everything, even the bad parts, is extremely important. Like accepting all of you, the perceived bad and good in every moment. Um,
And knowing that
yeah.
you're never stuck with a certain you, like you can always
Yes.
change it.
Yes.
I was thinking about this. This is gonna be so funny, but I was thinking about this while I was shaving my legs today. And I was talking to myself and I was like, huh, like you still do this. Like you're choosing to shave your legs. Like what inspires this choice? And I started thinking about like, is it because I like define myself as a woman and like women are supposed to shave their legs and it's this belief I have? And I really was like, damn, like every single action you really could like link it to thought and to belief. And that's one of like my favorite like things that I've learned from self-development is like the concept you have of yourself is really so influential over the actions that you partake in and the energy behind the action as well.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes
funny. I've had the same
outside.
thought while shaving. I'm like, why am I doing this right now? This is
Yeah, what's the reason?
That's so funny. Oh.
Yeah, the outside sometimes reflects what's is in the inside, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
sometimes
think
it's
a lot of
programmed.
it is that like I don't want people to see my hairy legs and then be like, those legs are hairy. Like
Oh.
I don't like that for some reason. I don't know.
Mhm.
Probably started in the 3rd grade when like the first time someone noticed my legs were hairy, I came home and told my mom. I was like, can you teach me how to shave, what to do?
It's like the programming, I guess, of it all.
Programming.
Yeah.
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 But
Well,
your brain learns that one experience you had was painful for you, so it does its best to like steer
avoid
you
that.
into avoiding it.
Yeah.
well,
But then I also feel you might like, despite the programming, maybe it is enjoyable, like to have soft legs instead of hairy legs. Maybe it is. I guess it would
Maybe.
depend on you and what you like.
Yeah. Or maybe there's like that rebellious spirit that enjoys the hairy legs. It's like, haha, no one can tell me what to do.
I'm so hairy right now. It's great.
I don't care what anyone thinks. I do shave my legs less often than I used to.
Trying to think, what do I do that's, well, I mean, I guess certain ways that I behave out in public. I probably a lot of ways I behave out in public are due to past programming.
Mm.
Yeah.
How do you greet people? Do you say like, hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, how are you? Fine. How are you? Good. Like it's not socially acceptable to say I'm terrible and then
No,
start
really, it isn't.
telling them your problems.
I actually have done that before, no
Yeah.
lie. I really like I was done with being fake. That was my thing of like I want to be real, like the realest person I can be. And it was actually so perfect. Do you guys want to hear the story?
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
Okay,
Of
so
course.
this was when I worked at an art gallery, and like I had just a lot of stuff happening that was like very emotionally, like it just made me cry and like was really just like difficult to experience. So I was like going through a lot, and the person I worked with was very like in tune and energetically sensitive, and I think he could feel me in my like and he looked at me, and he was the director of like multiple galleries too. He was my boss's boss, so there was like that authority there too. And he was like, you know what I like to do when I'm not feeling that great? And I was like, what? And he was like, I love to just take a deep breath. Like, let's take a deep breath together. And I was like, that sounds great. Like, let's do it. So he's like, inhale. And I inhale. And he goes, and exhale. And then when I exhale, just like uncontrollably, like I'm just crying. And he's looking at me and he's like, that wasn't supposed to happen. And I'm just like, ah. So I went to the bathroom and I came back. And right when I came back, two customers walked into the door, two women that were so tall, the tallest women I've ever seen in my life, walk in like these glorious, beautiful goddesses, and they come up to me, and I'm supposed to greet them like as my role, like working there. And they ask, I don't even think I did what I'm supposed to do normally. I'm pretty sure I was just like, I just came back from crying. Like my boss said we should take a deep breath together, and it just made me cry. So that's what's happening in my world. Like I just did. And then I got the most shocking response from them. They looked at me with like the same awareness that you would look at like an injured animal with. Like they like looked at me with care and like attention. And you know, they were so tall, so they're like looking down at me, and they're just like, how can we help? Like what happened? Like what are you going through? And I was like, you want to know? And they were like, yeah, like what happened? So you know, I didn't tell them all long details of things. I was aware that I was like at work, but for a moment I was able to be more than just the art gallery worker. I was able to be like a human with problems, and to have like those true connections is really beautiful. And like that memory changed the way I saw the world and made me realize like I am okay as I am in every moment, and it is okay to share and to express. So it was cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I think sometimes in those moments we feel like, oh, I have to hold this in. I can't like show this to anyone. But then you realize like other people are going through this type of thing too. We all feel these emotions.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the thing that I was describing, they found like commonality in it, and they were able to talk about their struggles too. And it was like we bonded and connected. And yeah, like sometimes the things that you don't want to share, you end up sharing them, and people are like so happy you did, and you're like, why did I not want to? Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a beautiful energetic exchange though. Like it's a way of connecting that sometimes we like stop ourselves from doing because we're like, oh, I'm scared of what will happen. But it ends up being the best thing you could have done in that moment for you and others, really.
There are literally people waiting for like you to open your mouth and share what you think.
Yep.
Yeah, and crying isn't always a bad thing or something, you know, because people, I think you are allowed to cry and to have a cry, and as long as it maybe it's not for the wrong reasons or something, you know. But
Yeah.
I find that sometimes, and especially with men, they have I never cry and things like that, and they're ashamed of it, and I think they shouldn't be, you know.
Mm-hmm. I've walked through like public streets and places like crying, like, I mean, maybe 3 times, not too many times, but I've had those moments, and I I find it happening because personally I've discovered that it is more painful to feel some like embarrassment of someone seeing me express my emotions, or maybe I get rejected for discovering or for expressing my emotions. I think I said more painful. I meant to say less painful. Like if I get rejected or I'm embarrassed for expressing my emotions, that is less painful than like the long-term effect of suppressing my true self and suppressing that and saying, oh, like I can't cry. I have to wait until I get home. Like that's gonna cause for me, I think, more damage than just like letting it out. And you know, I've never had anyone say anything though, and I've always felt like free and good that I'm just doing what's happening. Like it's not something I have much control of anyways.
Well, when I was watching all those male men's self-improvement type stuff, there's certainly was at least a trend in that do not, especially when it comes to male female dynamics and how to attract and keep a relationship. There is a belief that if you're the kind of guy that cries, whether she chooses to or not, she will lose attraction to you.
And
All
that's
right.
not true
Weird.
at all.
And you know what? I have seen that disproven so many times since I first started hearing that message.
Mhm.
Yeah, and what does that do? Like, oh, I have a partner because I listened to something and followed a rule.
Yeah.
That's way worse than, it's better to be like, I have a partner because I'm just doing what I want to do, and this person like accepts me and loves me for
Exactly.
yeah.
You authentically chose each other
Yeah.
with who you
Yeah.
are in your own expressions.
Yeah. And I guess, maybe there are partners that get the ick, so to speak,
I
from
hate that
emotion.
term, the ick.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah,
You're
me
getting
too.
the ick from the ick.
No, literally, yeah.
That just shows you're probably not that compatible to begin with.
And that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
The first person I like seriously dated in my 20s had to go through like so much of me, because I would bring up like, I didn't know how much content I had listened to that like had these beliefs about relationships until I got into a relationship, because I'd be like, oh, like it would come up into my awareness, and then I'd be like, wait, like I listened to a podcast one time and it said that if you do this with a man, then the man's gonna be like that, and he would just be like,
What?
girl, can you
Yeah.
stop? Like, no, it's not like that. Like just have the experience, and like yeah.
Right. Like there's dating advice that says, do not text back too soon.
Oh my god.
You have to wait to text back.
Or the ones where you're like, if you have the 2 Y's in hey instead of the 1 Y, it sends a different message. And it's like,
Yeah. All
what?
that crap. And I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I bought that crap and I acted that way, and it
Yeah.
had the opposite effect.
Isn't that so funny that
Yeah.
most of the stuff that's like programmed and societal is literally is so counterproductive to the truth?
Or
Yeah.
first grade or
Crazy.
something.
Yeah.
Kindergarten stuff. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
It's nice when you realize it though, and then you can free yourself from it and be like, okay,
Yes.
I don't have to do all this. I can
I
just
don't-
be myself and learn, and then I will have what I want and what I need and what's authentic, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want people to have a good experience, and like if I'm talking, I want it to be something that their consciousness like just I don't know, experiences the joy of it in that moment, and maybe like in the future they don't even have a story about it because like Carl said this once about not wanting to impose our will on like those that are not us, because everybody has a right to freely create, and all this advice that we're talking about that we've gotten has created like a box for us to go into that we might not have even wanted to go into.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of dating advice is about manipulating someone else.
Yes, it is.
That,
It's
you know,
insane.
and the spiritual realm is about free will.
Mm-hmm. And then it's also like if you get into a relationship like that where you've manipulated this person, it's already so inauthentic that it doesn't even feel good, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
It's probably there's like a lot of conflict and tension because it wasn't authentic from the beginning, you know?
So
It's just
then
not
you
worth
have to
that.
you have to keep up the facade,
Yeah.
or you don't, and you just break up, and then you got to deal with that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
What's the best advice for like not manipulating? Like how do you make sure you don't?
Oh.
And you have to have a certain kind of spontaneity, when you're saying what's on your mind, what's in your heart, maybe then.
Mm.
Yeah.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
And I guess if I were to catch myself strategizing, like, okay, this is how I'm going to act so that this person
Mm.
will, that seems like you're planning for manipulation.
Yeah. Maybe like letting go of the outcome
Yeah.
of it
Mhm.
all and
Yeah,
like
it's
assuming
always
that
And
we're
maybe like would you say if you are attached to an outcome, like communicating that
yeah. Like
and
this is what I
so
see.
everybody is aware of it, like listen,
Mm-hmm.
like this is what I want to happen after our date. Like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have experienced that before where it's nice when people are direct, especially with dating, when they say what outcome they're looking for, like in truth,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like strategizing to get there.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
Week ago, I asked out a nurse. She said no. Yeah. So that felt kind of crappy, but not that long. I mean, this is the first time I really thought about it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, you guys didn't match up, and
Right.
so that not working out was really the best for both of you, if you think
Yeah.
about it that way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
difficult to control reality, to have real control when you want to be a control freak and have everything go your way and things like that. Reality doesn't really work like that, in my
Yeah.
experience.
I mean, again, I think
Comes
we were
back in
talking
your
about it.
face.
Well, I think it kind okay, so part of me thinks that reality does go your way, but a lot of it is unconscious. It's in the subconscious
Mm.
mind. So
Oh yeah.
if you access the subconscious mind, then you'll see, like you'll find why you chose to ask that specific nurse out and why you actually chose to receive a no. Like I do
Hmm.
believe I mean, it in the past when I've taken like full responsibility for everything that's ever happened in my life, it has felt kind of like overwhelming and not the
Yeah.
best. So I don't know, you kind of have to just see what works, but part of me does like believe that you can find within you like what's creating what you're experiencing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are a lot of self-awareness often. Like you can tap into the self-awareness. I have like witnessed myself doing things. And then in that moment I'm like, wait a minute. why am I doing this though? And like, what am I trying to gain from doing this? And then being like, well, it's going to lead to this. So maybe I'll choose this instead. So it'll have that outcome instead, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I definitely felt guided to ask her out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, maybe the positive outcome of it was that I felt rather good that I had done it,
Mm-hmm.
because it took guts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, well, this took guts. I
Yeah.
did it.
You gain something from it.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just had to Google manipulation because I also wanted to bring up like positive and negative manipulation because like the definition was
Mhm.
that it's like defined as influencing or controlling another, usually in an underhanded manner, which facilitates one person's aim. So I guess since it says usually in an underhanded manner, it makes sense, but like it did make me think of like whoever's listening to this right now, like we are controlling them in an aspect. Like I'm controlling what they're hearing right now by me choosing to talk. So it's like it is everything manipulation. It's just about like making sure your intentions are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making sure it's not underhanded.
Underhanded,
Yes.
yeah.
Making sure you're being authentic.
Yeah. Um I mean, in a way, it's the way we're expressing ourselves, and it's also the way they're receiving it. So it's kind of like both. Like, how are they interpreting it, and how are we trying to present ourselves, and how does that mesh? I
Mm-hmm.
guess. But I have watched people like where you can tell like the way they say things is more open and authentic to a way where they allow more broad interpretation instead of saying like this is the way it is, period. I think the open interpretation as you express yourself in that way is like the best way to allow people to just take in what you're saying without like forcing this is how it is on them. Because here we're just talking about ideas and theories and our own opinions, but we're not like straight up saying like this is how it is to these people. So then they can
True.
absorb it in their own way. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not.
Because I think I used to have those like manipulative tendencies where like I would want things to be a certain way and I'd be attached to that outcome. So I would speak and communicate to like bring that outcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
none of
you
us.
have to stop and check in with how other people feel and if it's okay for the other person.
Mm-hmm.
None of us seem to be trying to convince the other of
No.
something. We're not having a heated debate.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. I really like this form of communication. It does feel very authentic and like
Yeah.
we're all choosing to be here and participate rather than feeling forced or that we have to believe a certain thing from one
Right.
another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can only show somebody your perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other person will have his
Choose.
own interpretations and his own ideas about it. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that's offered as a suggestion in like Alcoholics Anonymous, where you know you frame something, you talk about your experience and what helped you, and you're not really offering or you're not really giving advice to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
saying, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. You say, well, I did this, I did that, and it helped me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you know, not everybody follows that, but that's kind of what's supposed to be the framework for recovery meetings.
Mm.
Yeah, because then you're not making someone go into like shame for like not being able to do what you did, or thinking that that's the only way. You know, it could, what you're saying is seems to like bring people into like openness, and they don't necessarily have to like attach themselves to what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
you're taking away the part where you're projecting what you think people need to do onto others, and rather just
Mhm.
offering it as
Yeah.
something they can choose instead.
Yeah.
That's like the best way to have
Yeah.
that exchange and not infringe upon someone's free will. Be like, yes.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everybody's life is a canvas, and we all have our own paints and our own paintbrushes, and we're just having these experiences. And like Michael's way of describing it was like just showing your painting and being like, this is the color I use, and this is what happened, instead of just like grabbing another person's paintbrush and just like scribbling all over their canvas. And then they're gonna look back on their life and be like, who even did this? Like, who
Not
even
me.
lived my life? Someone
Yeah. Yeah.
else was living my life for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the solution is to take your own paintbrush in your own hand, pick your own paints, and watch what everybody is painting, but you know, watch it with the purpose of, this is like inspiring, or this is me seeing someone else's experience. Like,
Yeah.
nobody knows best.
No. That's the main thing. Nobody knows the best. We all just know the best for ourselves. Or that's what we should be striving for, at least, is just
I'm still figuring out the best for myself.
oh, we all are.
I don't know how
Yeah,
to
yeah,
compare.
right.
We all are.
It's a
That's
day
a big statement to
day
make.
by day job to figure out what is the best.
Yeah, like to be able to say, I know this is the best possible, like something for me. That's such a big statement.
Yeah. I guess it's more moment to moment. Those decisions, even of knowing what's best. Like we were talking about earlier, we usually know in the moment what's best rather than all like having a
Yeah.
view of what's the best overall.
Best for the moment is like a lot more accurate than best overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it means to live in the moment.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, we've been talking for a while. This is great. I love it.
Yeah, I'll have to put when I post this, I'll have to put a thing on there that says, "Do not be intimidated by the length of this video. You can just watch whatever part of it you want." And
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Someone could just like click through at different parts. They don't even have to watch
Yeah.
it in order.
Right, because sometimes, you know, you see a video, it's like an hour and a half. I can't watch that, you know.
That's true.
Well, you can be cooking in the background or something like that.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
just listen to it like a
Yeah.
podcast.
Tune into whatever moment you feel inspired to be in.
Yeah.
I love even that, the free will of the posting and the sharing of the video.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Someone could have clicked on the video, and then they could click on just this one moment, and this could be the beginning of the video.
Right. Yeah.
Like, hi, thanks for watching. You just got here.
That's so funny. Wow.
That's one thing too, is all the advice on the internet about grabbing attention and getting people to watch the video you post. Like, it's borderline. Like, there should be rules and regulations around what you're allowed to tell people to do. Like, in some ways, I think we like rob time from each other, and I don't think it's okay.
I think so too. Like, you know, those like thumbnails that like are so dramatic and you're like, ah, and then you go to click on it and it's like totally different, and, or it doesn't make
Right.
sense. And you're like, wait, what? Like the
Yeah.
clickbaiting? I don't like clickbaiting. I mean, I
Yeah,
get like
clickbaiting. Yeah.
I get people have like a purpose with it, but I feel like it's not always the best intention because it's more of a selfish intention, even if like, you know, it's like for monetary. I feel like there are still ways where you can do it where you can get the monetary value out of it that you need without infringing upon someone's view of something
Yeah,
or
doing the hard
distorting it.
sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because if people like you, then they'll watch your content for who you are and what you're doing. You know, I feel like you don't have to manipulate people into that, or you shouldn't at least.
Right.
Because that feels so wrong.
Yeah. People can decide for themselves what they want to watch.
Yeah. People could argue about that. They'll be like, I'm just, you know, people know it's clickbait, whatever, but it still feels weird, that energy. Like, even if when I'm clicking on something that has clickbait, I feel weird. Like, I feel a weird energy with that.
Whoa.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is strange. What's
Yeah,
happening?
you're right. It's like your body takes over. It's like there's like a little gremlin. It's like, I must know what this is. But like,
Yeah, yeah.
there's like the wholeness of you that's like, I really don't care.
Like, why are we wasting our time on this? But I have to know because they're telling me that I need to know this in this moment right now. No, don't. The shock factor of it all. I don't know. That's an interesting topic in itself.
I made $1 million in the last 3 months. Yeah.
I want to see thumbnails that are like pure creativity and the person like made it intentionally because they enjoyed doing whatever they were required to do to make the thumbnail. So I want to see
that the thumbnail like matches up with the actual video and like what their intention is instead of something totally different that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. How do you put up a thumbnail? I haven't learned that yet.
I think you go to like the editing and it says that you can like change it.
There's a little button in the top left corner while you're uploading.
Oh, while you're uploading.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can also like you can change your thumbnail after the video's been uploaded. You can like click the 3 little dots on the right side, and then that will give you the option to edit, and then it's the same button.
And you just take it from your photos that you have, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think I've tried to do it on my phone, and like I take a picture and then it like makes me want to, it's like you got to zoom in on it, so I have to make like the photo like far away, and I'm like, I'm just not doing this. So I think you have to do it on like a laptop to have like the full YouTube good thumbnails, because on the phone it's so weird. At least I've seen that.
I just do it on the phone. Well, I don't know. But
maybe it's just my phone. I don't know.
I don't know. I probably should put up thumbnails though, because YouTube always picks an image of me looking kind of cranky and well, really serious.
Wait,
I always look super serious.
Huh.
And
whatever thumbnail you watch, I usually just click because it's Michael. I'm just like, I want to see what Michael has to say in this video. Aww. So yeah.
You're so kind.
I think you can also go to like on the mobile, you can go to manage videos and then go to edit the video, and then like they'll have like the little thing right there, the editing symbol, and you click that and you can choose like a different picture that it's chosen from the video. There's like 3. So you can change that kind of without doing the whole thumbnail thing.
So I can find a place where I'm smiling.
Or maybe one that's a little more flattering, because that's what I've had to do. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, I always like after the video's done, I scroll through and just look for like a spot.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I take selfies right after I record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I need to do that with my computer so that it fits, because my phone is weird.
Because sometimes it's hard to scroll through the video and find something that works, and Like, I find that if I just take the selfie like right after recording, it's still like the energy of the video,
Mm-hmm.
and I have some kind of creative control over what the picture is. Yeah.
Yeah. I do find sometimes though, like when I post it and there's like that moment where it like freezes for the thumbnail, I'm like, oh, that actually is matching the energy. That's great. I don't even have to change it. I'm smiling. I'm doing a cool little, I'm like,
That's so good.
love when that happens. Doesn't always happen, but I love when it does.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually doesn't happen for me.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Creation is so interesting on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's cool that you can do like anything you want to do.
Yeah, it's a very versatile site, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's like so weird because I'm so used to it now that it doesn't even feel like a site. It just feels like something normal in my life that I'm like around and on. I'm like, oh, YouTube.
Yeah. I'm getting there.
You
I
guys
still
remember?
get,
Do you
I
remember
still
the first YouTube video you ever watched?
ever
Oh,
watched?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
No, I mean it was music of some kind, I think.
Mhm.
Some music, yeah.
It was
I think
probably music for me too.
it was a performance of Phantom of the Opera.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah.
I was at a sleepover in the 3rd grade, I think, around there. Maybe
Yeah.
middle school. I don't know. It's kind of like fuzzy on when, but I know I was at a sleepover and the girls were obsessed with it was like a song, and it was a person like dressed up as a certain character. It was a
Ooh.
guy singing about shoes, and he was singing about how much he loved shoes. And he was like at a shoe store, and he was like picking up different shoes and singing about them. And we all the girls were like, "Oh, play the shoes video, play the shoes video." And I was like, "What's the shoes video?" And they're like, "It's on YouTube." And I remember being like, "What is YouTube?" And it was this whole like new thing. That was so funny. That video probably has millions of views by now. It was like a
The
popular
other
thing.
ones.
It was so funny.
I think what I remember the most was stuff like that, songs like that were just like crazy. And then also DIY videos was like the main thing too. Like all these people doing all these random DIY things, and I was like, what the heck is going on right here? Which a lot of them were helpful, but I look back on them like, wow, that was like really one of the first things on YouTube. That's so
It
interesting.
is cool how there are like eras and trends.
Yeah. Even then, like at the very beginning.
Yeah, most of my physics I learned from YouTube. You can, I mean, you do a search and yeah, like lectures about differential geometry. It's like, wow, it's there.
So
Yeah.
many videos too now, huh?
Probably like every class in a college is on YouTube, and you can just design your own degree.
Yeah.
You won't get the official piece of paper, but you'll get the same
Right.
exact like curriculum and knowledge. But it will be virtual.
Yeah, for me, it was more like yoga videos I saw in the beginning.
Ooh.
That's
They have
awesome.
exponentially grown.
Yeah.
Now they're exploding with yoga videos.
It is really cool. It's like a hub of all this information that people can just share so readily. You just search through, or you get recommended stuff that maybe you never even knew about, and you're like, oh, this exists? Interesting.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And then there's the algorithm,
Mm-hmm.
That in a positive way, it tends to show me things that I need to see.
Yeah. I do feel like you can have an energetic exchange with the algorithm. You can make it work for you in a positive way.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Sorry.
And
Go ahead.
also, it's kind of a mirror of where you're at too, because the algorithm no longer shows me male self-improvement hustle type stuff, or the dating advice and that's just not on there anymore.
Yeah, you like choose what you watch and put into it, and then that's often what you'll get back over a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
I've had
it does try to cater to
people
you.
tell me that they're like freaked out by stuff like that, but I've never been able to relate. Because like I remember the example they gave is like an ad for a dress, and if the dress is like the exact dress you want to buy, so like because of like the algorithm, like you buy it. But I was like, I'd rather be shown stuff that I'm interested in. Like, what if I do buy the dress and it's like my favorite dress ever? Like, I see it from an optimistic lens. I understand the pessimistic lens, and I can see it of like, yeah, I guess if you don't have like mindfulness around money, it could be dangerous, or even mindfulness around your time and your attention. And speaking of time, I do have to go soon because of time.
Oh yes.
I have a plan that I have to go to.
I
but
have somewhere to go.
yeah,
Yep.
but anyways, to make my point short, there's a bright side and well, I don't know. I don't want to say that either. It's hard for me to make my points short.
As long as it's not too much of an echo chamber where you only have the things that you are searching for, and so you always have the same content and the same things. So, but I think in YouTube it's reasonably, but because a couple of times ago they showed me things I was watching years and years before, which I also like, you know, to have things from the past, and well, I find it a pretty good machine.
Yeah. I do find I have like you know, different emails, and then obviously attached to the emails you have different like YouTube channels. I like to go on like a couple of my emails and then see the difference in the YouTube algorithm. I'm like, I don't want to be in this one right now. I'm gonna go over here and look around in here. That's fun.
That is cool.
All right, I do have to go though.
All right.
It's so great, but I do have to go.
Well, all right. What a wonderful time. And hopefully somebody saw this conversation we had and might
They will.
consider
will,
yes,
if they choose.
consider joining us.
Yes, how do they join? What do they do?
Oh yes. Look at the description of the video and it will have my email on it. And I can, you know, email me and I can add you to the next tea time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yay.
Come chat with us.
Yes,
Yep.
we're friendly. We like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
And we're not going to tell you how to think. We just
Right.
talking to you. So yeah.
Yep.
So
We like talking to you.
Yes.
We don't have cookies.
I'm sorry. You can bring your own cookies.
Bring your own cookies.
Yeah. So
Okay.
funny.
I'll hit stop on the record. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Love you, Barlis.